Okay, we're back, and coming to my local environment to blogs, um, we've re-implemented the blogs, as I was saying, with the block editor. And you can see here, the block editor looks a little different than the WYSIWYG, but basically is going to show you options as you select the, the, the text or the content that you want to style. But the nice thing about a block editor is that each of these is a block which can be edited and reordered by itself, right? And so let me just share what creating a new piece of content looks like using the block editor. If I create a new blog, we're going to say where to eat in Costa Rica. I have this pre-filled content here, and I can just cut and paste. So let me just cut and paste. And then you can see here I'm just cutting and pasting from Google Doc, but the block editor does a nice job with regard to cutting and pasting content. It basically will throw away any formatting that it doesn't know about. But again, it takes what's there and makes each of them into a block, right? And so, for example, if I want to make this a heading, I can do that. If I want to, let's say, add let me add, for example, I'm going to add right here under La Carreta, I'm going to add an image, and I can just drag an image from my desktop onto the blog, and it's going to drop the image in line there. If I want to do that again, right, and you can just drop these images right in line in between these blocks. You can say, let's drop that one. These are pretty images. And maybe I want to add an image for the, let's do yummy drink. Hit save and publish, right? And what that looks like online, or I'm sorry, what it looks like on the front end is if you come to our travel blog, we now have a new blog entry, where to eat in Costa Rica, right? And basically each of those blocks are getting pulled in. We're iterating over the list of the blocks and formatting them appropriately on the front end of .cms. And you can, makes it very easy to manage content, basically story-like content. But the real beauty of the block editor is where we're going with the ability to embed content within content, right? So for example, if I come down here, I can say, okay, I want to add a content in here, and I'm going to add, in this case, let's call it a product, and let's add these products don't quite fit, but we're going to add a bathing suit. We're going to also add, and these are, all I'm doing is picking content from the content repository and dropping that in line. Let's add a mask for going to Costa Rica, right? And this here, this can be products you might Costa Rica. And I'm going to make that into a heading 3 and save and publish this. Now when I come to the front end, you can see scrolling down to the end, it's dropping those pieces of content in line in the JSON for the block, right? So it's acting almost like a relationship field for those of you familiar with how relationships are used. But you can, within a given block of content, pick and drop content into the block. You can drop widgets into the block. So I could do, if I wanted to drop a YouTube video, and I don't have this widget set up, but if I wanted to drop a YouTube video, I would come here and say, you know, I'm going to drop an image, or I'm going to drop a photo gallery. And if you have those blocks set up, if you have the components for those blocks written, that's going to be able to format those in line. So we've already started using this to implement different POCs. It's actually super powerful, but it really makes the idea of editing content much, much easier. Generates really clean HTML, strips out any tags, and gives a developer really complete control over how a WYSIWYG, in all intents and purposes, a WYSIWYG styled content, how it's formatted in the presentation layer, right? And this works both traditionally and also headlessly with SPAs, etc. So this is our first shot at the block editor. We're going to be, there's a phase 2, phase 3. This is something that we're going to be building into future forward and just continuing to make this. Ultimately, I do see this replacing our WYSIWYG. It's not going to happen immediately, and we might still keep the WYSIWYG around, kick it when it's down. But this is a much more elegant way to manage content and to manage stylized content within content management systems.